Good Sunday morning. It's time for the North Carolina Vinyl Picker Show. And on this episode, we're going all the way back to 1995. What were you doing in 1995? What were you listening to in 1995? I wish somebody would write in the comment section down below what they were listening to. Week after week after week. But I do get some comments. Just nobody really giving me any comments on what they were listening to. Also, we're going to go into where we went this week. Me and the wife, we went to an antique mall. That's right. We went to what a surprise. We went to an antique mall, and I ended up picking up a few bangers. Yeah. And we also stopped at Dead Wax Records. Dead Wax Records is up in Lenoir, North Carolina. If you're ever up in Lenoir, North Carolina, make sure you stop in and see Chris at Dead Wax Records. He's upstairs and he's open like Wednesday through Saturday or something like that. So if you want to check him out, he's got a bunch of records up there for sale. He's my profiles store of the week. So let's get right into it. Here we go. We're going to talk about my top 10 records of 1995. But first, I'm going to show you what I picked up this week. I got a few things in the mail, and the first thing is Steve Hackett 45. Steve Hackett, of course, the guitarist for Genesis, who left after Wind and Weathering, and this is a Sentimental Institution. Right. And then I also picked this one up, but I kind of screwed up. The picker screwed up. He got Celebration, but I didn't get the Manitou insert or the sleeve. Yeah, and then I seen one like an hour later for the same price with the sleeve. So now I got to hunt down a sleeve for this. I also found out that my bestest friend up in New Jersey, John, my lifelong friend, my number one friend, is sending me some 45s this week. He's way too generous. He's always sending me stuff. And when he sends me stuff, I bring it to the table and show you. So that'll probably be next week. I'll save them for next Sunday, and I'll show what I get from New Jersey on the 45s. I also picked up this Kate Bush interview 45. Now, this is still sealed. I tried to find somewhere in here where it was perforated, but no such luck. So this was one of 1,000 that was made, and this would have been in 1986. So, yeah, pretty cool. Found this online. Some guy was selling it for like $5. So I picked it up and I'm going to add it to my Kate Bush 45 collection. And there we go. Probably won't open it or listen to it. I probably could listen to it on YouTube maybe. I don't know. Kate Bush, The Experiment number 4. And this is from the album The Whole Story. And this is a pretty cool pickup. This, again, it might have been from the same guy. It was like $6 or something. And nobody was bidding on it. But that's usually the case with Kate Bush stuff. No one really seems to care much about purchasing her stuff. But I do, that's for sure. And wait till you find out where I'm going to be going this week. And also, wait till you find out where I'm going in September. But that's going to be at the end of the show. I'm going to let you, that's a little secret. So here we go. Experiment number 4. It's a great song. It's a short song, but it's a great song. I also got this in the mail this week. I gotta find somewhere to put these. Running out of room over here. Eloy. These guys are fantastic. I don't know why I wasn't listening to them for the past 60 years. But this album here is called Floating. And now I'm missing Ocean and a couple other ones from the 70s. I don't want to get too far into the 80s with this band because it's probably gonna fall off the cliff like most of the prog bands did. But yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this another listen. I've already listened to it once. And it's on that Harvest label. Yeah, we might even be doing some more labels too. I did my top 4, and but I think I've found a few more. We might revisit that here in a couple of weeks or so. So then we went to Lenore, North Carolina, and then we went ahead and saw Chris and had a nice visit there, and we had some lunch up there. It's always nice to go to the Mayflower. It's a seafood restaurant. And also while we're there, I always take a video of the fish tank. And I put that in my shorts this week. Not actually my shorts, but in my video shorts. Mott the Hoople. Yes, this is Mott. This is a fantastic album. This has all the way from Memphis, The Hymn for the Dudes. Just a great album. Mott the Hoople, Ian Hunter, Mick Ralphs, who later went on to Bad Company. Bad Company needs to be in the Hall of Fame above all the rest of them jokers that are in there this time around. Just a crying shame that Bad Company's not in there. They sold over 200 million copies of records and stuff. Oh my gosh. I've got to put Mariah Carey in there. Oh my goodness. Bad Company. Paul Rogers, you know, Paul Rogers. Anybody that's alive, it was alive back in the 70s, still in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that worked there. They don't even know about who Bad Company is. Don't get me started. Uriah Heep, Magician's Birthday. Fantastic album. I need to revisit my Uriah Heep, my early years, and get some more of their stuff. I had this album when I was a kid. It sounded great. It's got some great songs. You all know them. I've been listening to this album for 50 years. Well, most of you old timers out there, like me. David Bowie. This is one of his later releases. Never Let Me Down, it's called. I've never even heard this album. So I'm going to have to give this one a listen. This was some cheap heat. And I picked this one up at Dead Wax. Crosby and Nash. Yeah, this is the greatest hits. So the best of. These were like $5 a piece. This kind of rounds out my Crosby and Nash and my Stephen Stills collection. This is the best of Stephen Stills. And this is his last album he did on vinyl. Right By You, Stephen Stills. Looking forward to that. And that's it. And that's all. That's all there was. So that was pretty cool. And I took some pictures. I brought some pictures out of my my photo albums. There was a picture. You'll see it in here. There's a picture in here of my first stereo at my parents' home in New Jersey growing up while I was in high school and in the Navy. And then there's also a picture of Fish from Marillion, from a concert that we went and seen, me and John, many years ago. So that's in there. So there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about my top 10 records from 1995. What were you doing in 1995? Well, like I mentioned before, I was stationed down in Orlando in 95, and I'll be there for another couple of years. When I got there, the Master Chief told me, he said, Art, can you run the galley over on recruit side? We were feeding 5,000 recruits at the time. And I had just come off from being on board ship and from being on 3 different ships, actually, in 4 years, cross-decking. And so I got to the base in Orlando, and I said, yeah, I could run that galley, no problem. I had 100 boot camp workers working in the galley every day, and I had 100 cooks underneath me. We were bringing in a tractor trailer of milk just about every other day. So it was a big undertaking, but I did it. I don't know how I did it, but that's a long time ago. And then, what was I going to say? Oh, see, I can't remember. So then I went ahead after that and I retired there. So that was really nice. But it was quite the experience, let me tell you. Anyway, we're going to get into the top 10. So that's what I was doing in 95. I was feeding 5,000 sailors. Mara Brennan, Misty-Eyed Adventures. Now, in the 90s, I'm going through all these CDs and listening, and showing you people out there, boys and girls, all the things that I was listening to in the 90s. I was listening to some pretty mellow shit. I wasn't into the grudge scene or the post-punk scene or none of that, apparently. I was waiting in the wings for Porcupine Tree for me to find them, and then I would wake me up with my prog, since I'd been sleeping through the 80s and into the early 90s. I must have been half asleep. So Misty Eyed Adventures, and this is Maura Brennan, and she's coming in at number 10. And Maura Brennan, of course, from the band Clannad, which is an Irish folk rock band. And my friend John there, I could talk about him all the time. He, from New Jersey, he saw Clannad live. I never did. Maura Brennan, number 10. Coming in at number 9 is her sister, Anya. And she was in Clannad at the beginning of the band, but soon left and had a solo career. And this album is called "In the Memory of the Trees," but she had already done 3 or 4 records before this one. But she's just fantastic. A lot of meditation music, new age, I would say. Like the same thing with Maura, but Maura's more of a rocker a little bit. Coming in at number 8 is Jesse Cook. And my other friend, John, that we were friends in the Navy. We used to listen to this guy quite a bit. Now, this guy's Canadian, I believe. So, like Lorena McKinnon, who I sent the Old Goat a CD this week of. That CD, by the way, Old Goat, Don, that's a great CD for turning down the lights. Putting on your black light, maybe some incense or some candles, and then listen to Lorena McKinnon, The Visit. Oh, that would be cool. That's a good album, but it's a mystical album for sure. But this guy's really good too, Old Goat. If you happen to see any of his music out there in the wild, Jesse Cook, and this is Tempest. I think this is his first album, but this was from '95. I always like to have seen him, but like I say, he's from Canada. I think he came down to Florida a few times. Coming in number 7, I think I'm going to try to keep on track today. Steely Dan, Alive in America. This is their live album from '95. And this has Babylon Sisters and Green Earrings, and it has a lot of stuff from Asia. And Kid Charlemagne is a great song. Reeling in the Years. This is a great album. And this would be like one of their last times they went live until later on. They tried to make a comeback, but it failed miserably, I believe. It didn't do too well. But yeah, coming in number 6. Coming in number 6 is a band I listened to all through the 90s, and Shadowfax. And Chuck Greenberg played one of their wind instruments, the Lyricon or something like that. But he's since passed away. He's been gone a long time. And he has a solo album now that's fantastic that I've probably already shown. And probably in my top 10. But this is their live album. This is really great. They started off, they had their first album was on Passport. It was a jazz fusion record, so if you can ever find it. And then later on, they went in to start playing some new age stuff. And they did 7 or 8 albums, maybe 5 or 6 new age albums. And then they shifted again, and then they started doing some more different stuff towards the end of their run. But this album is really good. It showcases some of their early stuff, and then some of their fusion stuff, and then some of their later stuff. Coming in at number 5, we have a 2-parter here. Pat Metheny Group, We Live Here. Yeah, Pat Metheny, they tried to make a comeback with the Pat Metheny Group in '95 and succeeded. They had 2 or 3 albums. I wouldn't say they were as good as his earlier stuff, but they did have Lyle Mays on here. I don't think he had the other 2 guys from the Elements on here, Mark Egan and the other guy. I don't believe they were part of his band by then. But this is the 2-parter. This is the second part of here. This is selected tracks from the new album, edited for Radio Pro CD. And here's the actual CD. And then here's the redux. So that's kind of a 2-parter. coming in at number 4. We're getting down there, folks. We're in the bottom 4. October Project, and this was their second album, and this was the album after this is when Epic Records gave them the hook, and then they ended their career. But this album is fantastic. This is their second album, Falling Further In, and just magnificent. So if you're into 90s alternative music, I guess you would call this, or it's almost prog music. I would say it's like a hint of prog. What do you think, John? Put your comments down below. I don't know if you ever saw October Project, but just great band. And it's too bad they didn't continue on. They continued on and made a couple other things after this. I think it was called November Project or something like that. And then they had a couple little, they tried to carry on with a different name, but they lost their contract with Epic. Coming in at number 3. Now, these top 3 records could be in any kind of really difference. You could put number 2 at number 1, put number 1 at number 3, number 3 at number 2. It doesn't really much matter at this point at the top 3. But I'm going to show them this way because I'm showing my CD first. I have this album also. But it's the Porcupine Tree, and it's The Sky Moves Sideways. And I didn't know about this album. This came out, of course, in 95 because I'm showing 95. But I wasn't into Porcupine Tree until like 97, I believe, when I found the album Signify at a Peaches record store down in Orlando. Down on, I think it was on Colonial. Great album. I saw the cover on that and I said, holy shit. I said, this guy's here must be some kind of prog. And back then we didn't even have cell phones. So, you know, we just had to go by looks. If you saw a CD or an LP, back then it was all CD. But if you had an LP, if I had known better, I should have been not selling my records. I should have been holding on to them. So, anywho, I was... So I picked up Signify, and then I went back in their back catalog, and this was the album before Signify, The Sky Moves Sideways. And then before this was Up the Downstairs, which I showed you last week. And then before that was another album. So, number 3, The Sky Moves Sideways. If you love prog, then this is a must. Porcupine Tree is a must. You need to get on board. I don't know what you're waiting for. Coming in at number 2 is Marillion. And this is another album that I missed on the first go around. And this is Afraid of Sunlight. And this is probably my top 3 Marillion albums, post Fish with the Hogarth era. I really like this album a lot. This was probably at least in my top 5 of all the albums. But I left Marillion pretty much after Fish left the band. And after Fish left the band, speaking of Fish, there's Fish. After he left the band, I kind of dropped off Marillion. I didn't really listen to him like a lot of other people. But it wasn't until like Brave came out to where I started listening to Marillion again. And then I kind of stopped again. So I remember buying Brave down at Patrick Air Force Base down in Florida at the PX down there, the BX. Yeah, that was a great album. And then I kind of dropped off again, and then I started listening to them once their last 3 or 4 albums. I started listening to them and realizing that Hogarth is just, you know, it's a different band. It's not the same band as what it was with Fish. And I was trying to compare the two. And I guess you compare the two because you have the same musicians in the band. They just changed the lead singer. But lead singer has a lot to do with my friend John always said, you listen to the vocals. If the vocals are no good, then that's it. I'm all out. That's what he used to tell me. So anyway, so here's Marillion. This is the reissue of Afraid of Sunlight with a different cover. And I think this is in Argentina, somewhere down there, somewhere down in South America. But coming in at number 2 Coming in at number 1 is this big boy here that I got at Lunchbox Records in Charlotte. And this is Pulse. This is the behemoth that's Pulse. And Pink Floyd coming in 1995. I don't have my CD anymore. I had one that had a Pulse on it and with a battery inside and everything. I sold it like I'm selling all my CDs. So that's one of the hardest ones I had to get rid of, but it had to go. I don't need all these CDs. And if you're looking for CDs, all of these back here are for sale. And they're in my store. And my store is Big Chief Vinyl 57 on Discogs. I'm also in eBay, the North Carolina vinyl picker. So there you go. And that's how I end up getting some cash in my PayPal so I can turn it around and then bring records to the table and show you fine people out there. See how that works? And coming in and going out. So Yankees, I'm wearing this ball cap because pitchers and catchers have reported down in Tampa. And back in the day when I lived there, I used to go down there to see them down there at the ballpark at Steinbrenner Field. So good luck to my New York Yankees this year. 162 games. I'll be watching each and every one of them. So got a lot of popcorn and a lot of water to drink. And I'll be watching some Yankee baseball here real soon. My four-part series is going to start this Wednesday. And it's going to start over in Newton, North Carolina. I'm going to take you to where Tori Amos was born and where she lived over there in town in Newton, North Carolina. That's right. And it's going to be a 4-part series. So there'll be 3 more artists after that one. So I'm looking forward to this series, and I'm going to take you on a trip and take you around the area. What else do I got to tell you? I guess that's about it. A picture of my stereo and fish. And that's what's coming up on Wednesday. It's going to be the trip over to Newton, North Carolina. And I might hit up a antique store while I'm over there. I want to try to find something over there to bring to the table next week. So that's all I got for you. 22 minutes in, and I've been just rambling like I always do every week. Yeah, go Yankees and support them troops. And I'll be seeing you on Wednesday over in Newton, North Carolina to show you where Tori Amos is from. And it's just right down the road. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.